Okay, I think I should start the space now. I hope my voice is audible. Now, we will discuss it one by one. I made some very special points regarding this matter. And then we will discuss how we can increase the financial aspects of life. First, I will discuss how and which part of the astrology tells us how you're going to earn the income, and according to the ancient classics, and then the modern thought process regarding that. We'll discuss some charts also. See, finance is a very important aspect of life, and it's not bad. There's a common idea about, at least some people think that finance is bad. कुछ लोगों का ऐसा मानना होता है कि पैसा जो है वो एक खराब चीज है. पैसा कभी खराब नहीं होता है. डिपेंड्स ऑन हाउ यू अर्न द इनकम. दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ओके, तो जो कुबेर हैं, जो यक्ष हैं, चीफ ऑफ यक्ष हैं, जो कि ही इज एंशिएंट गॉड. he it is written in a classic that the first two horoscope should the houses of the horoscope should not be afflicted with malefics that will create problems. Okay, because second is the house of wealth, fourth is the house of happiness, and between these houses there should not be any malefic, except I think this rule doesn't apply on the third house. Now, first I will like to discuss house by house relation of how the houses impact the wealth. Now, the second is the house which is called Nidhi. Nidhi means treasury, storehouse. It is the house of Kutum, basically the clan. It is also the house of speaking abilities. It is the house of, there are multiple things which have been written about the second house, to which we can say that, okay, this is the result of the second house. There are endless combinations which can tell you what is going to happen through the second house. So basically, this house rules the time from 3:30 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. in the morning. Now, in the ancient time, the kings, they used to visit their treasury during this time. They used their spies and all that, because that was a time when the treasury was being seen. So this is exactly the second house, the house of treasure. The other house which is important is the 11th house. Then there are multiple houses which are important, like the 5th house, the 8th house. In certain ways, it also impacts the income. All the houses are important. Second is the house of wealth, or the generation of income, the deposition of income, and the generation of income is through the 11th house. Now, second, I told you it's the time is 3:30 to 5:30 a.m. The saints used to wake up during this time, and this is basically their spiritual wealth. So wealth doesn't mean money only, it means every kind of wealth. Even your family, your clan, your kutumb is also wealth. Okay, so this is important to understand that wealth means everything. But here we are specifically talking about the wealth related money. Okay, here we are talking about money only, financial part only. So if you look carefully, you'll see that the second house is the fourth house from the 11th house. Now, this is the fourth is basically the house of happiness. So when you generate income from the 11th house, that the happiness which is derived from that income generation, जो पैसा आप कमाते हैं 11वें भाव से, जिसका पता लगता है, जो पैसा से आप सामान लेते हैं, उससे जो हैप्पीनेस जनरेट होती है वो चतुर्थ भाव से होगी 11वें से. इसलिए द्वितीय भाव यानी सेकंड हाउस ऑफ वेल्थ becomes important. It is the house of vaka, means it is the house of speech, it is the house of bhakti, it is right eye. There are thousands of things. It's also the house of basic education, without which you cannot earn anything. It's a basic trait. It's not necessary that people, I have seen people who don't have basic education, but they earn a lot. Now, more important thing is that besides this 11th house and second house, the moon also is very important. It's the owner of riches. Venus is the owner of luxuries. Mars is the owner of courage. So these planets are important in the horoscope. In the modern times, Rahu also gives you lots of wealth. But if you are generating your income through wrong means, then all the income, it comes to troubles when the Rahu Dasha is ending, because of the bad Lakshmi collected by the wrong means. It is wiped out during the Devguru Brahaspati Dasha, which is the next Dasha is basically of Devguru Brahaspati, which basically wipes out your income if the income generated during Rahu Dasha is through bad means. Otherwise, it will go on with the same flow. Depends on the condition of Rahu and Pisces. This is the disclaimer which you should understand, that every planet condition can be multiple condition. You have to see Ansha charts, you have to see the moon chart, you have to confirm everything from the moon chart. The moon should be in Shubhakartari yoga, means there should be benefits in both the sides. Sun should be strong, other yogas should manifest. Now there is one thing which is very important. The signs of Mercury are very important for income because they are the sign of commerce basically. So they are important because they give you the knowledge of earning money. Okay, without knowledge you can't earn money. So that is important. Taurus is the natural sign for income. Gemini is also very important. In Krishniyam, it is mentioned by Krishnacharya that each sign should be treated as the natural houses as well. So it's not that the house second which is important, it's the sign Taurus which is also important. Even the third sign is important. Okay, now we go to the one by one. We will go into the what will happen and how the income will be generated when the house of second lord is placed in different houses. Okay, so second is the lord of wealth in your horoscope. So suppose second lord is placed in the first house. Now in that case, the person will be earning through self efforts using his own brain, because the first house represents your brain or your head. So you're using your, and it also denotes your self efforts. So you can earn through self efforts when the second lord is placed into the house of wealth. Lomash Maharishi marks out that the person is a Lomash Maharishi he was a ancient, he's a scholar who has written Lomash Samhita. It's a very important classic in which he mentions that the person earns through his own efforts when the lord of the second house is placed in the first house. Now the second house, if it is placed in the second house itself, which is the house of Vani, then the person is going to earn through his speech, by his speaking abilities, income from the family. Why? Because it is Kutumbha Bhav. Or through inheritance from wife's relative. Why? Because it is the 8th house from the 7th house. So if the wife doesn't have any siblings and the parents are no more, then the person is going to earn through the inheritance from wife's relative in the case of the second house, if the second lord is placed in the second house. Now the third house makes self efforts because house of hands, arms. So basically the person is doing self efforts into it. He's skilled. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes I have seen that people who have the second lord in the third house, they deceive others. Depending on the other combinations, I know a person who has cheated multiple people. So this guy has this second lord in the third house, and there are other people also who have second lord in the third house. So I see there is a certain kind of deception in their work. I don't know why, because maybe because the second is the house of speech, and the third house, it gets afflicted. So they have this deceiving kind of speech through which they earn income, though it is self-effort, those they are skilled into deceiving people. So this is what happens when the second lord is placed in the third house. When it is placed in the fourth house, the income can be generated for things which can give happiness, like music, okay, building houses, repairs of conveyances like repair shop, or vehicular income. So all these are based on the second in the fourth house. Anything which gives you happiness, which gives happiness to others also, can be used as the will give the income to the person or generate wealth for the person who has his second lord in the fourth house. In the fifth house, it is because of the Purva Parjit karma, which is you have earned the merits from your past birth, through mantra chaitanya, through knowledge, through higher education, and also through share market, because the fifth is the house of flukes, basically lotteries. If I remember correctly, Sri Rakesh Jhunjhunwala has his second lord in the fifth house. Let me see. Yes, his second lord was Moon, and it is placed in the fifth house. So obviously it makes sense, because that person has some kind of creative ability, some kind of innate sense of analyzing the things. So that is there. And in the sixth house, the wealth is generated from defeating enemies. Why? Because sixth is the house of enemies, basically. Debts, loans, medical insurance, all these, or commission, all this is related to when the second lord is based in the sixth. But it will only happen when there are good combinations. There are bad combinations, all the above will go into the wrong direction. Just understand this part. Jyotish is a very what do you call it? I call it Samagra Vidya, because it includes most of the things. It requires multiple combinations to understand Jyotish. I'm just giving you an idea how this is going to work. I'm not saying that this is going to work exactly as I'm saying. Okay, when the second lord is placed in the seventh, that the income will be generated from partnership. In the modern type, I have seen that startups also are related when the second house of wealth is placed in the seventh house. wife's work, foreign travel, all this is related to the income, and the second lord is placed in the seventh house. If it is placed in the eighth house, then the income is earned through analysis, through digging holes in the earth. I mean, I'm joking, but it means treasure hunting, share market, you can say inheritance also. So eighth is the house of underground activities, the activities which you cannot see. Even the analysis part you can't see, you can just observe, okay, the person is very analytical, he has analytical skills, he can see what is hidden from the eyes of the normal person. So when the second lord is placed in the eighth house, the person earns through analysis, through ideas, through thinking pattern, through research. All these things have been done when the second lord is placed in the eighth house. So you understand, every house, all the houses has certain good aspect and a bad aspect also. So it's not necessary that if your second lord is placed in the eighth house, you will not earn. There are people who earn through that also. So don't go on this combination. If I remember correctly, Amitabh Bachchan ji has a lot of planets in the eighth house. That doesn't mean that he didn't earn anything in his life. So it is a wrong assumption. Don't go on assumption. Just pay attention to all the signs. That is how we are going to analyze. And it is placed in the ninth house. The person earns through religious marriage of his ancestors. Okay, through the marriage, through the wealth of family, through foreign travel. All these things are related to the ninth house. When the second lord is, it's a very good combination. It's a very strong combination. Second lord plays in the ninth house is a good combination. This for these combinations to work, these combinations should also be similar to the combinations from moon. Also, you should look at the Chandra Kundali to understand whether these combinations are going to work or not, because that is going to give it a stamp. Okay, this is going to work now. The Kendras and Trikona Lord, all these, if you know about astrology, you'll understand that these combinations are important. So 10th house, it gives income from good karma and from good deeds. But it is not necessary that the person is only doing good deeds. However, second lord in the 10th house often gives from good amount of deeds. Bill Gates has his second lord in the 10th house, moon in pieces in the 10th house. So he earned through that, but it is not good deeds. It is basically his Kanya Rashi, which is the Virgo sign, has Mars and Mercury combination. This Mercury is exalted and it is sitting in front of Mars. Now, it is an important thing to understand that Mars should not be in front of Mercury. The combination will change even if they are placed in both the signs, same sign, sorry. The combination and the results will change. In the Navamsha of Bill Gates, you have this Mars Venus Saturn combination in Mithun Rashi. I have seen particularly people who are billionaires have their Mithun Rashi very, very strong in the chart. So these Rashis, they have like Vrishabha Rashi, it also gives you income, but without any knowledge. The person earns through luck. But when you're talking about Mithun Rashi, the person earns through his knowledge, his ability of finance, his ability to control assets, all those things. In fact, in most of the billionaires who are like very rich and who are business people, I have seen that many great people have this Mithun and Kanya Rashi very strong in their chart with good planets, good positions. So that is very important to understand. In the 11th house, it is through gains. Lomash Maharishi says that the person is a minister to the king. Why? Because 10th is the house of king. The second is the house of a person who is speaking to the king, which is a minister. So he says that the second lord, when it is placed in the 11th house, the person becomes a minister to the king and earns through that. In the modern world, I have seen that people who earn through bitcoins or the virtual currency, they have the second lord in the 11th house. I know a person who basically he cheated most of the people. He has this combination. Second lord was placed in the 11th house. In the 12th house, the income from coffins, which are not prevalent in our country. Basically, coffins are used by Christian people. So, but the income generated from coffins is related to the second lord when it's placed in the 12th house, or through beds, or through hospitals, or through exports, or income from foreign countries, because 12th is the house of foreign countries. So this is a very basic thing to understand that how the house of wealth is generated through several means in the chart. Now we come to the second part of our combination. This is just the basic thing, how the income is being generated. Okay. Now, what is the wealth prospect? To see the wealth prospect of a person, we need to look at the moon chart also. We need to look at Venus and Mars. We need to look at other planets also, because they are as important as the main chart. This is important thing. I will discuss the general things also. These are astrological combinations which are meant for astrologers to understand. But I'm going to discuss general things also, how the remedies can be implemented. What is going to happen when your second to fourth house are, why it is written that second house is very important. If you look carefully, the second is the house of northeast direction, which is the Ishanya Kona. Okay, in Vastu, it is one of the most important directions of income. Okay, it is written. So it becomes important if you have a lot of, now I'm talking about the conditions which can be checked without astrology also. Okay, so if you have infestation of pets inside your house, suppose your house is always having a lot of cluttering, if your drawers are cluttered, if your purse is cluttered, if your pockets are cluttered with things, that means your income is low or there are problems with your income. Why? Because it means that your second to fourth house is having some kind of malefic in the chart. Otherwise, the cluttering will not happen. So it is important to understand that your house should be very, very clean. Now, this seems like a very, you might think that this is an absurd idea. What will happen with when the house is not clean? But it is not a general thing. See, understand this thing that the second to fourth house, fourth is the house of, it is the house of deities of your place. It is the house of sthana devatas. So when these houses are afflicted, the second house is the house of clan, kutumba. When your family, your nearest clan has committed some kind of crime, then these houses will be afflicted. When these houses will be afflicted, the Ishanya cone of your house, wherever you are living, the northeast part of your house, will be afflicted with certain kind of problems. There will be some uncleanliness, some kind of dustbin will be lying around, some kind of the objects will be cluttered, they will be lying on the floor. There will be general bad things in this area of your horoscope. So if it is there, so you don't need to see the horoscope. You just need to see the northeast part of your house. Just go over there, check your drawers, check your wardrobes, clean them, keep them very, very clean. It does not matter how much objects you have in your house. They can be put into a systematic order. That is very, very important part if you want to increase your income. The planets actually, they work through these methods. Okay, they have this. If you have a malefic in the second and the fourth house, then your house will be cluttered. You have a lot of impurities in your own house. So these are nothing. They are Shudra grahas. Basically, they're the grahas which are negative in your chart. So they are impacting the natural flow of income in your houses. So these needs to be clear. Okay. Now for the fourth house, it is important that you should visit the nearest deities of your place, which is basically the Sthana Devatas. So why it is important? Because fourth is the house of happiness. So it does not mean, if you're, suppose you are a billionaire, but you are suffering from some kind of big disease. Suppose you are suffering from some kind of big problem. Your mental structure is not good. So what is the use of income? Nothing. So happiness is very important. That is derived from the fourth house. चतुर्थ भाव से पता लगता है कि आपका जो मानसिक जो अवस्था है वो खुशी की है कि नहीं, ये तो इसी से पता लगेगा. तो that is the house of sthana devatas. So it is important that you visit the nearby places so that your fourth house, even if it is afflicted by some bad planet, to increase the potency of good planets, to decrease the negativity of bad planets, it is important that you visit the nearby deities of your house. Whosoever is nearby, just visit that place. If you belong to different religion, you can donate in that particular temple. You can provide food in that particular place. So that is also a way to remove the negativity. It is a part of Vastu, but it is a part of your horoscope as well. Okay. Now, you should also avoid bad mouthing for public figures and personal relations. Why? Because the Vani Bhav is basically the house of wealth. So if you are bad mouthing, if you have about public figures or personal relations, anybody, that means that your second house is afflicted, right? There's some bad planet in the second house. Otherwise, you won't do that. So it is important that you do not do that, because that planet, which is sitting in your second house, which is basically creating troubles for your financial part, is basically the power of that planet is increasing because of that bad mouthing. So this is important that you understand this part. You should not disrespect any woman. Do not say any bad words about women folk in general. Every woman, even when she is a Chandalika, she is a form of Kalika. Okay, so you cannot say that. Why? Because it is associated to Venus and Moon. These two planets, which is a Venus plane, the three bhavas, the three grahas, they rule the general financial aspect of a person. So if you disrespect a woman, whether she is your wife, your sister, your daughter, mother, whosoever that person is, the financial aspect of that person will be afflicted. He's bad mouthing or generally, doing anything for the women folk. So this is very important combination. You need to understand. This doesn't require horoscope. Okay, you need to understand it without horoscope. You can understand this thing. Now keep the northern quarter clean and free of too much luggage in your house. Now luggage is basically a problem because when you have a lot of luggage, a lot of cluttering in your house, the energy, the flow of energy is disturbed because of that. So it is important that the northern quarter, the fourth house of the chart, basically should be very, very clean. And large water bodies or large electrical appliances or unclean surfaces will create instability in finances, because then your fourth house will be afflicted. Or the sthana devtas, if they are very say aggressive towards you, if you're not propitiating them in some way, or even if you're not propitiating, you shouldn't do anything wrong. For example, suppose we have a Vishnu temple. Now sthapatya, it is very clear that you should not have a house near a temple. It is a strict rule. Devalaya Ved, which is being discussed in Sthapatya, I discuss in my classes also. So what happens when you're living near that? Suppose you do something which is against the basic tenets of dharma. Suppose Vishnu Dharma says that you should avoid non-vegetarian food, you should not drink, you should not do all those bad things. So when you're living near temples, you are a human being. You commit mistakes. So when you do that, your fourth house gets afflicted, and the result is Deva Veda, Devalaya Veda, and your happiness is afflicted because of that. You understand? So this is very, very important, that you should not have any problem you should respect the nearby deities to your fourth house. Okay. Now, these are just the basic things which are understandable, and the person should get up early in the morning. Why early in the morning? Why it is written that by getting up early in the morning, you can increase your income. If you look at the lifestyle of major wellness, I'm not talking about everybody. I'm talking about the people who are actually rich in the world. You will see that they get up early in the morning. Most of them reach their office at 3 o'clock, some 5 o'clock, some 5:30. So this is a common trend. Now you may think that it's just a stupidity, but it's not so. Why? Because when you are actually waking up in the morning before sunrise, this is important in Hindu Dharma. It is very important in our Dharma that you should get up early in the morning. It is written that if you want to increase your wealth, you should get up early in the morning. There are people, of course, who get up at 12 o'clock in the daytime. There are people who get up late in the morning time, but they're rich. Why they are rich? Because that is not Lakshmi. You need to understand that Lakshmi is of different types. There is a Lakshmi which is basically the wrong Lakshmi, which can come to you. You can generate income, but that income is not real income. You're not actually, it will go away also. When I'm saying income, I mean to say something which is going to be there for your generations to come. So that requires you to get up early in the morning, because the second house of wealth has an association to that particular timing when you get up early in the morning. So you see, even getting up early in the morning is important. Now these are very basic things which anybody can do. You should wear clean clothes. You should the males should shave off their face. They should be very clean. They should wear good clothes. Women also should be dressed up like Lakshmi. That is important, because woman is basically, we call her Graha Lakshmi, we call women as Graha Lakshmi because of that reason only. If they are they wearing torn clothes, they are wearing unclean clothes, then also the Lakshmi will be afflicted. So these are very basic tenets. You can understand that once you do them, the basic things to be done, which can increase your wealth prospects, because your wealth prospects are distorted by the same planets which are deposited in these houses, and they create these afflictions. So by what we are doing is, we are basically reverse engineering the whole thing. Reverse engineering is a concept in the computer engineering part, where we reverse the software itself to find out the bugs, or we find out the crack holes in the software itself. So that kind of thing is being what we are doing over here. We are basically understanding the horoscope impact through the actual happenings in life. Okay, actual happening in the houses also. Now the question comes to what can delay prosperity. There are planets which are very slow, like Saturn is a slow planet. It's called Mandaha. Okay, and we have Jupiter also, which is a slow planet. So you will think Jupiter only gives income. No, Jupiter is not an income generation planet. It gives prosperity. The prosperity is not income. It is basically expansion of your income. So when you are suffering from Brahmin Shrav, you're suffering from the curses of the noble people, then your income is not generated. You can earn money, but you won't be able to convert it into wealth. Why? Because your Jupiter is afflicted. To remove the affliction of Jupiter, which can delay your prosperity, the best method is to find a guru. If you cannot find a guru in the modern times, uh, actual guru is something very rare. I don't want to discuss this thing, but it is the truth. So if you cannot find a guru, you can worship Sri Dakshinamurti, which is the eternal guru. You can worship the Guru Dattatreya. You can worship anybody who has gone, but they were great saints. So these are gurus. So once you worship gurus, the curses generated by the Jupiter are debilitated or they become weak. So your delay in prosperity is removed. Or you worship Bhagavan Ganesh because he is the god who was generated from the Vyoma Tattva, the Akasha Tattva. Now Jupiter is basically the Akash Tattva and he has relation with Bhagwan Ganapati. So whenever you start a thing, whenever you want to do some deal, whenever you want to do some important thing, always use your right hand when you're doing it, and always worship or mentally pray to Bhagwan Ganapati. He is the one deity who always listens to you. Keep listening to you every day, every time. Whenever you call him, he will listen to you. So if you have problems of prosperity, if you have problems in delay of wealth, then this is one method to do that. Now the other planet which can do so is your Saturn. Now Saturn is something which is a very hard planet. It's related to your stable karma, your दृढ़ karma, जो आपने जो कर्म ऐसे किए ना, जो स्ट्रांग होते हैं, जो दृढ़ होते हैं, जो आपको लाइफ में आगे पनपने नहीं देते, तो वो शनि के कारण होता है. अब शनि देव जो हैं, जब ये द्वितीय भाव में बैठे हों, तो पैसा जल्दी नहीं आता है. अब देखिए कितना सिंपल सा मैथमेटिक्स है. अगर आपने ज्योतिष के एबीसीडी भी पढ़ेंगे तो सबसे पहले क्या बात आती है, ग्रह जो पुराने शास्त्र हैं उसमें the rishis, the sages, they say that Saturn is a planet of delay. It's called Mandha. Second is the house of wealth. So what will be delayed? Your wealth will be delayed. It's a very simple thing. So when Saturn is sitting in the second house, your wealth will be delayed. In case Saturn is weak or it's troublesome, then it's going to happen. So to remove that thing, you should look at the northeastern part of your house. Check if you have some kind of black water tank or say large electrical things in northeast section, or it is not clean. Then the Saturn will have an impact on the second house and the wealth will be generated in your family. But you need to understand that you have to work on these remedies for a longer period of time because they are related to your stable karmas. Everything can be removed. Every person can become rich, but it takes time. It takes a certain perspective. It takes a certain, kind of strictness in your life to do that. It's not that easy to break open the combination. Everybody is not born to be a millionaire or a trillionaire or whatever you want to be. See, you have to understand your limits to earn money. If you don't have it, then try to crack that part with hard work. With all these things are necessary in that. But if you're suffering from curses like Pitri dosha is there, or say Sarpa dosha is there, or say Brahmin dosha, so Brahma Shrap is there, Devalaya Vedha is there. So all these doshas, these curses need to be analyzed. They need to be separately removed to gain more prosperity. This is something very different from the chart because it cannot be seen directly in the chart. Though it can be seen, but it requires a different kind of analysis for the chart itself to understand. These are the curses which are detrimental to the wealth of a person. When you are suffering from Sarpa dosha, you will earn your income, but you will never be able to generate wealth. Your wealth will not be generated. You will suffer from a lot of your family will suffer from a lot of diseases and the money will go away, or you will not get prosperity, or people will not praise you for your hard work. Even if you put 100% effort in your work, you will get 20% result. So this is what happens when you're suffering from sarpa dosha, or when you're suffering from pitri dosha. They will not allow you, depending on their combinations, they can of course trouble you a lot. They will not allow you to develop in your life. So that kind of curses, these curses are there in the chart, and they can delay your combination of increasing wealth. So these are basic methods. Now we go to the more important methods to understand how this can be done. Now, there is now this part requires a little bit of knowledge about the mantra process, because without that, it is not going to work. You must have heard about Sri Sukta, which is part of Vedas, and it is basically a very important sukta from Vedas. And the thing is that it needs to be decided in a certain way. A certain thing has to be done which can increase your wealth. Now, it is part of lateral part of Vedas. It is not the ancient. It's not the ancient part. It belongs to the lateral part where Shri is. There is a common saying that Shri is Lakshmi, but actually, when you study the ancient classics, you acknowledge, you learn that Lakshmi is not Shri. They both are different from each other. Uh, in the initial process, the Purush Sukta was created and the Shri Sukta was created by the eternal Purushas and Prakriti. So these two suktas are very important in the remedial section. But because, see, this Shri Sukta is basically the Khila Sukta of Rig Veda. Now, this is the recension of Rig Veda Samhita, and but it requires a certain amount of methods to be done before you recite this Shri Sukta. You need to understand the best way to. It has to be sung in a particular way. There is a certain kind of pronunciation which is required to recite Shri Sukta, and it has mantra devta and every devta in it. Okay, so if you understand that part, the recitation of Shri Sukta is done, and how it is done, I'll give you a very good idea. You need to collect the Bilva Patra, but before that, you have to understand the whole process, how this is being done. You have to understand the correct pronunciation. You need to take sankalpa before that. How do you take sankalpa? You just take water in your hand, or your flour in your hand, or any panchatattvas. You can see representative tattva in your hand, or you say your name, your place, wherever you are. Like we say in the tantric process, in the mantric process, we say it's Bharat Deepe, Jambu Deepe, Bharat Khande, Jaipur Nagare, Jaipur Game. So this is how we recite. We are basically announcing where we are. It's a kind of oath-taking ceremony. So we are taking oath in front of whom? We are taking oath in the front of Panchatattvas. One of them is water, one of them is flour. Okay, it's kept in the right hand, on your knee, on the right knee, and then we cover it with the left hand. Then we take the oath. Okay, so that is the oath of this is being taken. Now, Shri Sukta carries its key. Every particular sukta or particular things, hymns, they carry their devtas, the kilak, and all these parts are there. So you need to understand those parts before you recite it. It's important. Okay, it's not just I'm not telling you all the thing which is mentioned on the internet regarding this matter that you start reciting, it will give you benefit. No, it won't. So it has a certain aspect of recitation, but it is a very strong and important suktam. Once it is understood, once you understand the pronunciation, I will give you the right pronunciation. I have an audio file, so I will share that so you can have the right pronunciation. About the, I will give you the ideas. What are the devtas? We will make a separate video or separate audio regarding this matter, because it requires a certain way to do. Now, when you collect the bilva patras, the bilva is a tree. All the leaves are being connected, and these bilva patras are dried. Then the 16 suktas of Shri Sukta, each sukta is used as the mantra, and the bilva patra is dipped in ghee and it's been offered as ahuti. Now, this particular process was told to me by some saint, but the person who was very spiritually exalted. He gave this remedy, and it really works in life. But for that, you have to understand the basic process. So I am not giving you the exact thing, because it requires a deep initiation into the mantra process. Without this, even if you learn, you chant it thousands of times, it's not going to work. Everything like this has a bija, shakti, and kilak. So you need to understand what is the bij of this, what is the shakti, what is kilak exactly, how does it work. Then you understand the Shri Sukta pronunciation, which is very, very important to understand how it is being recited. And each of these 15 shlokas have, 15 mantras have this bij. They are separate bijas for that. Okay, so you have to understand that process. But once you understand this process, Lakshmi is attracted to this. The second one is Kanakdara Strot, which is being recited, but that also requires a certain kind of initiation into the mantra process. That is also not a simple thing. I don't, believe in giving people, distributing mantras to people, because it actually harms the person more than it is giving the benefit to the person. So I'm just giving you an idea that this can be done, but you need to be initiated into the process by some person who's very expert, who has expertise in these areas. Okay, you just don't go suddenly to your house and start doing havans and pujas and mantras. If you keep on doing that, you'll suffer. Okay, now these are two things. Now the third thing is, if you're suffering from a lot of loans and your income is there, but loans are too much, then the income has no value. In that case, we basically chant the Rinaharta Mangala Stotram, which is easily available on the internet. You chant that strota, it is not going to give you any bad effect. If it is recited in the Hanumanji temple, in the Anjaneya temple or Subramanian temple, that is going to give you good effect. Your loans will become weaker, and you'll get benefit out of that. So these are certain methods which you can use. There are certain practical methods which I told you about the house and all that. So all these methods can be employed. The astrological part requires you to learn or to be expert in astrology to understand, because it requires multiple combinations. I've just given you a basic idea how these things are working, but this is just the basic idea. Okay, now I'm open to the questions. So if you have any questions regarding the matter which I'm not discussing about the horoscopes, I'm just talking about, I'm not going to discuss your private personal horoscopes over here. So I'm just going to discuss if you do not understand some part of it. So then I will tell you. Okay. So somebody has requested, let's see, Manas Govind. Yes, Manas ji. Bataiye. ओके संदीप जी बोलिए, आप बोलिए. संदीप जी, आप मुझे सुन पा रहे हैं? You requested.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Guruji. My question is, if someone has Jupiter and Rahu in the second house, so how will that be?
See, it doesn't matter. That is what I was telling you before this. See, these combinations, they don't work individually. The problem is that every astrologer, you'll see astrologers talking about, if you have Jupiter out in the second house, this will happen to you. You will see most of the astrologers telling you that if you have planets in the 8th house, then you will never earn anything in your life. But I can show you people who are very, very rich have their planets in the 8th house. So it doesn't work like that. You have to understand the whole horoscope to understand how these planet combination is going to work. Why? Because Jupiter Rahu can be in any degrees. Within the 30-degree span, there can be, they can be anywhere, and they will change in Ansha chart also. So that part is very, very important. How they reacted to other planets, how the other planets are aspecting these planets. So these combinations have zero value in astrology unless you see the whole chart. Based on just this combination, nothing is going to work. That will be an assumption. So I avoid these assumptions because they're useless. They're wasting our time. So don't worry about Jupiter Rahu combination in the second house. Depends on how they are reactive to each other, what kind of Rashi is there, what kind of Ansha chart is there. All these things are important to understand their final outcome. So don't get worried about, just because Jupiter is sitting in your second house, you're not going to earn income. It's not right, sir. My sister is having Jupiter. I shared her chart recently. She has Jupiter in the second house. So will it affect it? In fact, she is very rich. So this is not going to work. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So please don't ask the private personal questions, because I'm not here for chat. But whatever I've discussed right now, that you can ask me. I will talk about it. There's no issue with that. Okay. If you are going to talk about your private charts, then it will be difficult to tell you that thing. Okay, Pawan ji, बोलिए. हाँ
Hello.
पवन जी, I can hear you. बताएं.
No, this is Manas Govind.
Manas Govind.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Sir, I had a question that is a basic one, that if everything can be predicted, then what is the stored for, what is there in the future to be decided? If everything can be predicted by an astrologer, then do we think that what is hidden and what should not be told, or there is no point in what is in the future hidden in the future?
True. See, everything cannot be predicted. This is one thing which you should understand. It is written in Granthas multiple times. Even Bhagwan Shiv, Devi was talking to Bhagwan Shiv in an ancient classic. They are discussing something, and Devi tells Bhagwan Shiv that nobody can predict about future with 100% correction. This is impossible. Why? Because God has given you hands, it has given you feet, it has given you brain. Otherwise it will have, you will be a dumb box. Why would he need all these things for you? He would have sent you without all these things, right? So you are doing something in your life. Every karma is being added to your thing. So that cannot be predicted by everyone. This is one thing which you should understand. So there is always a scope for your karma. Whatever you're doing, you're adding to it, you're decreasing it, you're increasing it. There are certain paths which you cannot remove, no matter whatever it is. Like if you're going to suffer from an accident, the accident is going to happen on that date, on that particular time. Depends on your karmic debts, what kind of accident will it be, whether it will be a scratch or it will be a fracture. So that depends on what kind of karma you are doing. Okay, so karma always have a scope, and astrology is not limited. I'm not saying that there are people who can predict, anything about anyone. But when we talk about prashna, in my case, when we say we look at the prashna, we look at the prashna to see what kind of karma the person is performing in his present life, because that cannot be seen in the natural chart. So we analyze, okay, this person has performed this good karma, so he is getting this thing, or he has performed this bad karma, so he is getting this bad thing. Okay, so this kind of things can only be done with certain things. So future is not 100% thing. Okay, it keeps on changing at a moment, but there are drid karmas which cannot be changed. They remain the same. You are talking about the drid or drid part. It's not part of jyotish, it's a part of basic thing which is being taught. When you start the jyotish chapter, you should understand the karmic debts, how they are working. So this is drid or drid part of the karmas which you are discussing. That is always, there is always a scope in that.
We mean to say that we can minimize the problem.
Yes,
or we can maximize the return.
You can minimize the problem, but there are problems which you cannot change. There are things which you cannot change. The did karmas cannot be altered. They require 12 to 13 years regular remedies, regular work to, regular persistence is required to change that. So that part you cannot change. You can change only a certain part which is there, which is given to you by the God, which you can change, and the remedies can minimize that. Okay, Manoj ji. Manoj Khandelwal, I think. मनोज जी, आप कुछ कहना चाह रहे हैं? हेलो,
हेलो।
हाँ मनोज जी बोलिए.
हेलो,
हाँ, आई कैन हियर यू मनोज जी.
आवाज नहीं आ रही है.
सॉरी मनोज जी, मुझे आपकी आवाज आ रही है.
आवाज नहीं आ रही है यार मुझे.
आई कांट हेल्प यू. हाँ नादी, प्लीज बोलिए. Glorious, you want to say something?
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi, I have a quick question. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear if someone was supposed to go ahead of me.
Okay.
I just had a question. How can we strengthen our fourth house?
Oh, how can you strengthen your fourth house? See, if there is affliction to the fourth house, there will be unhappiness, general unhappiness in the life. If the moon is afflicted, which is the natural planet for the fourth house, then also the person will be unhappy. We say that moon is basically the heart of a person, or the thinking pattern of a person is being represented by moon. So if you want to strengthen the fourth house, the first thing which you should do is to respect your mother, because moon is basically associated to the mother. This is one thing. If you can't do that, you should propitiate the nearby powers which are near your house. So anything which is near your house should be propitiated in some way. Okay, this is another thing to do. But for a specific thing to understand, we have to understand what kind of planet is tampering with your fourth house of happiness. So if it is Saturn, the result will be different. The methodology will change if it is Saturn. If it is Mars, the methodology will be different. So it depends on the planets, how they are afflicting your fourth house. But in general, the first thing which you should do is to respect your mother, because mother is basically related to the fourth house. And then you have the fourth house, basically northern part of your house. It's basically the direction north, wherever you are living. That north direction is being dominated by is related to the fourth house. So if you have any kind of cluttering in the northern part of your house, if you have any kind of dirt, garbage, all these units should be removed from the northern part of the plot. So that is important. That is how you can increase the potency of your fourth house. Okay, Glorious.
Thank you so much. I have one quick question. Just I didn't hear what you said earlier. So I heard about the north side of the home. I heard about respecting your mother. What was the other part? There was a word that I didn't quite catch about the surroundings of the home.
Yeah, I'm talking about the surroundings of the home, everything, including your plot and the surroundings. The northern part is basically the fourth house of your chart. So if it is afflicted in some way, or suppose there are garbage, there's something wrong in the northern part, then your fourth house will also be afflicted in the chart, or your moon will be afflicted in some way. So if by reverse engineering, we cannot change the moon, obviously when we were born, the moon will be placed in a certain position. So what we are going to do is we are going to change the place itself in some way, so that the moon will not afflict us in that bad way. That is what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Anadi, you want to ask something? Pratyush?
Yes, Pranam Guruji.
Bully.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, 100%.
So just a basic question, should the lord of the house that you talked about, like the second house or the fourth house, should be given more importance or the weightage, or the aspect should be given more importance or the weightage on the second and
Both
fourth
should be
house?
given importance. Even the aspect is important. The connection, there are Sambandha Chatusha is there. Basically, the four kind of relations between a planet is possible. So all those relations have to be studied. It's not just one aspect, or it's not just the combination, or it's just not the placement of the planets. All these four aspects are important.
Okay.
Thank
you.
So Piyush ji, you want to ask something? पीयूष जी।
प्रणाम गुरुजी। आपने अभी बात की थी गुरु के बारे में, आपको गुरु ढूंढना चाहिए करके, अगर ना हो तो दक्षिण मूर्ति देव या दक्षिण मूर्ति को या फिर गुरु दत्तात्रेय को ये पूजा करना चाहिए। तो इनके प्रोसीजर बता सकते हैं, कैसे कर सकते हैं?
बहुत सिंपल है ना, जय गुरु दत्ता इज द बेसिक मंत्र। नाम जप तो आप कभी भी कर सकते हैं, उसमें तो कोई इशू ही नहीं है ना। तो वो तो कोई भी कर सकता है, और बहुत आसान है वो चीज, है ना।
तो उसमें कोई प्रोसीजर फॉलो करने की जरूरत नहीं है, जैसे मतलब आप कभी भी।
गुरु के लिए नहीं होता, गुरु के लिए इसलिए नहीं होता क्योंकि गुरु के ऊपर कोई दोष नहीं लगता है किसी तरह का। जैसे बाकी देवताओं के साथ हमें एक पर्टिकुलर प्रोसेस चाहिए होता है, लेकिन गुरु के साथ ये प्रोसेस नहीं चाहिए, तभी तो वो गुरु हैं। वो हर चीज, किसी चीज की मनाही नहीं है, सिर्फ ये है कि आप कोई गलत काम नाम तो ले सकते हैं। दक्षिण मूर्ति स्त्रोत होता है, साउथ में बहुत सारे टेम्पल्स हैं, अगर आप तमिलनाडु साइड पे जाएंगे तो। मुंबई में नहीं है, बट मुंबई में अगर आप चाहें तो आप दत्ता भगवान का नाम तो ले सकते हैं। दत्ता भगवान के बहुत सारे मंदिर हैं। जी
धन्यवाद।
अच्छा, बीना गोविंद सिंह। You want to ask something? बीना गोविंद सिंह, you want to ask something?
सर मुझे 2 क्वेश्चन पूछना था सर। आपने बताया था कि सेकंड लॉट अगर 8th हाउस में है तो उसका सोर्स क्या होगा इनकम का, वो मैं सुन नहीं पाई थी।
सेकंड हाउस, आप उसका रिकॉर्डिंग सुन सकते हैं ना, ये रिकॉर्डेड है, अभी थोड़ी देर बाद आप इसकी रिकॉर्डिंग भी सुन पाएंगे, डोंट वरी।
ओके। एंड सर दूसरा ये होता है कि हम लोग जब कोई घर लेते हैं तो हमें पता नहीं होता, और उसमें नॉर्थ ईस्ट डायरेक्शन के सामने अगर टॉयलेट है तो उसको हम लोग कैसे सॉर्ट आउट कर सके?
सॉर्ट आउट नहीं होगा, यू विल हैव दिस सर्टेन पार्ट्स। क्या होता है कि देयर आर सर्टेन थिंग्स व्हिच यू कैन नॉट डू, और यू दैट इज हाउ द डेस्टिनी प्लेज विद अस। आप समझे किस तरह से हमारा जो हमारा भविष्य हमसे खेलता है या ईश्वर हमसे खेलते हैं, यही एक तरीका है कि आप देखिए कि आपके पास धन नहीं होगा तो आप भाई वहां से टॉयलेट हटाएंगे कैसे, फैसिलिटीज को कैसे हटा देंगे वहां से जो नॉर्थ ईस्ट में बनी हुई है। तो बेसिकली ईशान्य को हमने ऑलरेडी प्रॉब्लम ले लिया है। तो आप देखेंगे कि आपके हॉरोस्कोप का जो 2nd से 4th हाउस है, या फिर गुरु जो हैं, देवगुरु बृहस्पति या चंद्रमा जो है वो अफ्लिक्टेड होंगे चार्ट में, तभी आपका नॉर्थ ईस्ट पार्ट अफ्लिक्टेड होगा, वरना नहीं होगा।
सर नहीं, नॉर्थ ईस्ट में टॉयलेट नहीं है। नॉर्थ ईस्ट के सामने जो बालकनी है, नॉर्थ ईस्ट में बालकनी है, उसके सामने ही टॉयलेट है।
दैट हार्डली मैटर्स, उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है।
उससे
प्लॉट
फर्क
में
नहीं
जो
पड़ेगा।
नॉर्थ ईस्ट, हाँ नॉर्थ ईस्ट का जो सेक्शन है पूरा, वो खराब नहीं होना चाहिए प्लॉट के अंदर। उसके सामने पीछे आगे पीछे होने से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला। जब हम घर को डिवाइड करते हैं तो वो नॉर्थ ईस्ट पार्ट में नहीं आना चाहिए। मीन राशि जो होती है उसका संबंध भी नॉर्थ ईस्ट पार्ट से ही है, तो मीन राशि भी खराब नहीं होनी चाहिए, ठीक है ना। तो अगर वो खराब होगी तभी आपके घर के अंदर टॉयलेट वहां होगा, वरना टॉयलेट ही नहीं होगा उस जगह पे
सर
जहां
वहाँ टॉयलेट नहीं है, उस कोने के सामने एक टॉयलेट है। मतलब उस कोने के यहाँ पे हमने झाड़ ये सब लगाया हुआ है, मनी प्लांट ये सब।
that hardly matters actually, that needs the you need to divide the house। आपको घर को डिवाइड करने पर ही पता लगेगा एग्जैक्टली वो कहाँ पर है, और उसी से हमें आइडिया होगा कि ये प्रॉब्लम है। वो तो उसको हटाना पड़ेगा, कोई चारा नहीं, अगर वो गलत जगह पे है तो हटेगा वो, है ना।
सर मुझे और एक लास्ट क्वेश्चन पूछूं क्या?
जी बोलिए।
सर मेरी फ्रेंड है ना, उनके मदर इन लॉ बेड रिडन में है, बहुत दिनों से बेड रिडन है, और मैंने अभी ये देखा कि उनका नॉर्थ ईस्ट कॉर्नर में उनका बेड है हॉल के। तो मैं अगर उनको सजेस्ट करूं कि अगर वो निकाले अपने मदर इन लॉ को, तो मैं क्या सजेस्ट कर सकती हूँ, किस डायरेक्शन में?
उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, नॉर्थ ईस्ट में सोने से उनको बेड होने से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा। वास्तु इतना आसानी से काम नहीं करता है, स्थापत्य एक बहुत बृहद विज्ञान है। उसको समझने के लिए आपको घर को पूरा डायग्राम मैथमेटिकली बनाना पड़ेगा पेपर पर, उसको प्रॉपरली डिवाइड करना पड़ेगा। आपको ट्रू नॉर्थ के बारे में पता होना चाहिए, जो सही डायरेक्शन होते हैं उसका एनालिसिस कैसे किया जाता है, जैसे दिख कहते हैं। बिना उसके आप अंदाजा लगा पाएंगे कि वो नॉर्थ ईस्ट में है, हो सकता है वो नॉर्थ ईस्ट में हो ही नहीं। तो वो डिपेंड करता है, और इसके बेसिस पे हम तय नहीं कर सकते कि वो नॉर्थ ईस्ट के नीचे सो रहे बीमार है, ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है। कैन बी थाउजेंड्स ऑफ रीजंस। ओके
ओके सर, सर थैंक यू सो मच सर।
जी हाँ सौरभ जी बोलिए। सौरभ कुलकर्णी जी बोलिए। आपको आवाज सुनाई दे रही है सौरभ? हेलो सौरभ, कैन यू हियर मी? Okay, this is Zeta dominatrix. Saurabh, can you hear me?
Hello, am I audible?
You're audible. बोलिए।
Yeah. पंडित जी, आप बोल रहे थे कि सेकंड हाउस का लॉर्ड जो है वो 7th हाउस में होगा, तो आपका पार्टनरशिप में जो भी है वेल्थ का एक्यूमुलेशन हो गया, आपको वेल्थ मिलेगा। तो उसमें आप एक बोल रहे थे कि स्पाउस के पार्टनरशिप से या उससे, तो क्या इलेबोरेट? हाँ, तो वो इलेबोरेट कर पाएंगे वो?
Very simple. See, it's very simple. See, 7th is the house of spouse, right? 7th is also the house of partnership. तो जब धनेश द्वितीय भाव का स्वामी जब 7th भाव में होगा तो इनकम कहाँ से आएगी? या तो उस स्पाउस के पैसे से आएगी, या आप किसी बिजनेस पार्टनरशिप के थ्रू वेल्थ जनरेट करेंगे, या आप फॉरेन इनकम से इनकम जनरेट करेंगे, या फिर आप कोई स्टार्टअप बनाएंगे जिससे इनकम जनरेट होगी। लेकिन एक बात का ध्यान रखिएगा सौरभ, ये चीजें जो हैं जितने भी योग मैंने बताए जी, बार बार मैं ये कह रहा था कि these yogas should also work from moon. The moon should be very very strong. Planets also needs to be checked. और ये ग्रह जो हैं अगर खराब होंगे तो यही जो फल मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ ये नेगेटिव वे में भी जा सकते हैं कि आपकी वाइफ आपको डिवोर्स देगी, आपको एलिमनी देना पड़ेगा। आप समझ रहे हैं? तो वो वेल्थ आपकी जा भी सकती है और आ भी सकती है, डिपेंड करता है ना।
यस और एक दूसरा पार्ट आपने बोला था कि ईशान्य कोने में आपको क्लीन रखना है या जो भी है। मोस्टली हम हमारे साइड के इधर ईशान्य कोना सैक्रेड समझते हैं, जिधर देवघर रखा जाता है। तो या सो लाइक दैट पॉइंट आई वांटेड टू ऐड, लाइक अगर किसी एक पॉइंट की तरह, क्योंकि मोस्टली उस वजह से वो कोना साफ रहता है। लेकिन क्योंकि आजकल के स्पेस के क्या बोलते हैं, आजकल के घर बनाने के जो भी तरीका है, मॉडर्न तरीका, उसमें देवघर उस साइड में जाता है, लेकिन उससे उसके ऊपर बहुत सारा किचन का सामान आ जाता है, लाइक शेल्फ वगैरह आ जाता है। तो उसको कैसे टैकल करते हैं?
उसको टैकल नहीं कर सकते। वही तो मैं अभी थोड़ी देर पहले उनको यही बोल रहा था। एक्चुअली कुछ चीजों को हम टैकल नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि वो डेस्टिनी का पार्ट है। देखिए मीन राशि, चंद्रमा, चतुर्थ भाव, चतुर्थेश, ये चार जो चीजें हैं ना, ये बिल्कुल साफ सुथरी होनी चाहिए। अगर ये नहीं है तो इसका मतलब आपके नॉर्थ ईस्ट में कोई गड़बड़ जरूर है। ये तो बहुत सिंपल है। ज्योतिष हमेशा वास्तु के साइड में रहता है, हमेशा। तो आप हमेशा वास्तु से ज्योतिष को, ज्योतिष से वास्तु को देख सकते हैं। आप किसी के घर में जाएंगे, आप देखिए उसका नॉर्थ ईस्ट पार्ट क्या है, आपको समझ में आ जाएगा कि इन चार चीजों में से कोई एक चीज खराब है उसके चार्ट में, है ना। वो हैप्पी नहीं होगा, खुश नहीं रहेगा, परेशान रहेगा। बट इसके अलावा भी चीजें हो सकती हैं। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आपने जहाँ घर बनाया वहाँ बहुत पहले कभी मंदिर था, सपोज एग्जाम्पल दे रहा हूँ। बहुत सालों पहले कोई देवता वहां पे रहता था, उसकी उपासना की जाती थी। अब वो देवता हट गए, उसकी जगह बिल्डिंग्स बन गई, कंस्ट्रक्शन हो गई, और उस देवता की शक्ति वहीं पर मौजूद है। तो वो आपको कष्ट देगी किसी ना किसी तरीके से। तो वो तो हमें पता नहीं लगेगा। वो कुछ ऐसी चीजें हैं जो इनविजिबल है ना, वो नहीं पता लगेंगे। इसको हम भूदोष कहते हैं, कुल देवता दोष कहते हैं, स्थान देवता दोष कहते हैं। ये चतुर्थ भाव से पैदा होता है। तो इसका तो बहुत इन डेप्थ लेवल पे होता है कि किस वजह से ये हो रहा है। सिर्फ इसी वजह से हो रहा है ये जरूरी नहीं है ना।
ठीक है, चलो, थैंक यू पंडित जी। श्री गुरुदेव दत्त।
जय दत्ता, जय गुरुदेव। गॉडेस रीता डोमिनेट्रिक्स, यू वांट टू आस्क समथिंग? Okay. Pavan ji, you want to ask something? Pavan ji, you want to ask something? This is the second time Pavan ji is not able to speak. Pavan ji,
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I just want to ask few things. Can I chant Kanakdhara Stotram in morning?
You need to learn about no. I understand you're asking about Kanakdhara Stotram.
Yes,
you need to understand the Kanakdhara Stotram. Just read the site of Shankar Mat, which is basically our matha for which is Shankaracharya Mat. So they have this details about stotrams and all that. Just go over there. This is the authentic source of learning that. Or you go to Sri S.K. Ramachandra Rao, Srinivas Rao Sir. His site or blog is very, very important to learning about the stotas if you want to learn. He was a legend in the field of Sthapatya and everything. He's a very intelligent person. His blog is there. He's no more now. So these two places are the authentic places to learn about Sri Sukta or even Kanakdhara Stotra. You'll get an idea.
Can you share the name again?
One is Shankar Mat, basically, our Shankaracharya Mat. Okay. Okay. And the second is basically Srinivas Rao. It's the blog of Srinivas Rao, sir. So it is very important blog. You will find a lot of things over there. Okay, you can learn it from there.
And another question, like Runharta Mangal Sutra you mentioned. So any process like every Tuesday I should recite or how?
Yes, it's simple. You just recite it. But just remember to say something about mentally just recite or invoke Bhagwan Ganapati. Then you invoke Kuladevta, Sthan Devta and Vastu Devta. Then you do that. Okay. So that is the process. You go to the temple, do that. It will help you out.
Okay. Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks.
Yeah. Yes, Karan ji, बोलिए. Karan ji, can you hear me?
Hi sir. I have a question that आपने बोला कि ये stotrams when we recite. I just want to understand when we start reading them, how do we know that there is some impact happening, or is it backfiring us?
It's usually backbiting, because anything when you invoke God, basically you are invoking the highest level of powers to your house. A house is not a place, it's not a sanctified place. It can never be sanctified. You have children, you have women in the house. You can never make it a perfect place. You understand what I'm talking about?
Right.
So when you cannot make it a perfect place and you invoke the deities, they are very supreme things. Okay, they don't directly affect you. What affects you is their retinue. Okay, there are yoginis with Devi. There are particular deities with Hanumanji. So Hanumanji is the highest level of chastity and purity. You basically are inviting a deity in the house, and then you're not able to manage that. So that is going to invoke the curse, which is called the Veda, or sorry, the Deva Dosha curse. That is going to impact you. So it is basically negative only unless you understand the whole process of mantra. You understand how to do vinayog, how to invoke the deities, how to tell them to go away, or go back to their respective places. So all this process needs to be understood. Without that, you can of course become super normal. You can achieve certain kind of power, because this retinue, they too have powers. So they will give you a certain amount of power so that you feel good. It is a kind of feel good thing. But later on, they will take the toll. They will create problems for you. They will create tensions for you. So this needs to be understood when you're chanting anything.
Okay, sir. And just one more last question, if it's possible.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, is there a way how do we differentiate between an intuition and a real ask from God? So, for example, I'll tell you,
I got it.
for 1 week, I've been feeling a lot to read Saptashati. I do read Saptashati, but in 1 week I've been getting an instruction that I should read every single day. I'm not sure, sir, is it because of the love for my amma, or is it actually may it happen that because of the love for your amma, you may want to read it, or is it something that it's an ask from the goddess that okay, fine, now you have to read it?
No, you can never, because this is very difficult to understand. That was the reason why Prashna was costed in the ancient times. Sometimes the person will say, okay, I have a dream. The goddess came in my dream and told me to construct this temple. Now they used to cast the Prashna to check whether the deity was there or not. So it cannot be analyzed without that.
Okay.
Secondly, mostly what happens is the retinue, which comes with the Devi, like the yoginis, which they trap your mind. They basically force you to do that because they take the bhoga of that wrong recitation. You need to understand that the Brahma Rakshas, the Yoginis, the Yakshinis, they basically take that bhoga which you are reciting. Okay, recitation is the bhoga. The wrong recitation is their food. They will force you. They will modulate your thinking pattern to do those things because they are getting rasat from you. आपसे खाना मिल रहा है उनको. तो वो तो आपको मतलब आपको मजबूर करेंगे, आपके ड्रीम्स में आ जाएंगे, आपको ऐसा भावना देंगे कि आप ऐसा कीजिए. बट क्या वो रियलिटी है, इसको समझना बड़ा मुश्किल है.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. हाँ राहुल जी बोलिए. राहुल जी, कैन यू हेयर मी?
हाँ. मेरा एक सवाल है कि 4th हाउस के अफ्लिक्शन के बारे में है कि अगर कोई नेचुरल मेलेफिक वहां बैठ के कुछ राजयोग बनाए, फॉर एग्जांपल सैटर्न या मार्स, तो क्या ये भी अपने आप में एक तरह का अफ्लिक्शन होगा कि ये मटीरियली अच्छा होगा लेकिन किसी चीज की कमी रहेगी?
डिपेंड करता है. देखिए, वही बात है. एक्चुअली एक ग्रह, अब जैसे बिल गेट्स का चार्ट डिस्कस करेंगे तो मंगल चतुर्थ भाव में बैठा है, राशि में, शत्रु राशि है. मंगल अष्टेश है, एकादशेश है. सबसे खराब ग्रह उस कुंडली का मिथुन लग्न के लिए मंगल सबसे खराब ग्रह होता है. तो क्या बिल गेट्स दुखी हैं? नहीं, बिकॉज इट डिपेंड्स ऑन मल्टीपल कॉम्बिनेशन हाउ दिस इज गोइंग टू वर्क. मरकरी इज ऑल्सो देयर. मरकरी के लिए कहते हैं कि वो जहां बैठते हैं उसका फल देते हैं. बुध जो है कर्क नवांश में है, धन नवांश के अंदर है. तो एक्चुअली प्लैनेट कैसे अपना फल देगा इसको जानना बहुत मुश्किल है. इसीलिए मैंने आपको घर के एग्जांपल्स दिए, प्रैक्टिकल एग्जांपल्स दिए, जिससे हम ये वेरीफाई कर सकते हैं कि प्लैनेट्स एक्चुअली काम कैसे कर रहे हैं, है ना. तो वो तो पता नहीं लगेगा, क्योंकि उसके लिए तो आपको पूरा ज्योतिष समझना पड़ जाएगा। बट हाँ, आप जनरल वे में ये देख सकते हैं कि क्या आप अनहैप्पी हैं, क्या आपके पास वाहन है फिर भी आप दुखी हैं, क्या आपकी माताजी हमेशा कष्ट में रहती हैं। सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स कैन टेल यू वेदर योर फोर्थ हाउस इज अफ्लिक्टेड और नॉट।
ओके, थैंक आई हैव जस्ट वन मोर क्वेश्चन। आपने आपके ट्वीट्स में सर्पदोष और इन सब चीजों की चर्चा की है, तो क्या ये सिर्फ और सिर्फ प्रश्न कुंडली से ही मालूम पड़ते हैं कि कोई ऐसी बुक भी है जिसको रेफर किया जा सकता है जो नेटल चार्ट में भी देखा जा सकता है?
नेटल चार्ट में पता नहीं लगेगा सर, मुश्किल से पता लगता है। मुझे पता लग जाता है, क्योंकि जब आप एक बार समझ जाएंगे, एक्चुअली प्रश्न और जातक में ज्यादा फर्क नहीं होता है, लेकिन प्रश्न को समझने के लिए थोड़ी सी डिविनिटी चाहिए। ये तो क्लियर है कि मंत्रवेत्ता व्यक्ति ही प्रश्न को समझ सकता है। आप प्रश्न को करेंगे, लेकिन उसमें एक लग्न होता है जिसको हम आरूढ़ कहते हैं, जो अलग अलग तरीके से पता लगता है। स्वर्ण से पता लगता है, तांबुल से पता लगता है, अलग अलग मेथड्स हैं उसको पता लगाने के। लेकिन वो आरूढ़ गलत आएगा, और जब वो गलत आएगा तो आपको प्रेडिक्शन ऑटोमेटिकली गलत हो जाएगी। उसके लिए आपका मंत्र चैतन्य होना जरूरी है, तो बिना उसके आप प्रश्न नहीं कर पाएंगे। जब तक आप ज्योतिष की बिल्कुल इन डेप्थ स्टडी नहीं करेंगे, तब तक आप समझ नहीं पाएंगे कि वो कैसे काम कर रहा है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, हम एक एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं राकेश झुनझुनवाला का, ठीक है। अब आप इंतफाक देखिए कि बिल गेट्स के हॉरोस्कोप और राकेश झुनझुनवाला का जो लग्न है वो एक ही है, मिथुन लग्न। आपने पूछा क्या ये जो दोष होते हैं ये चार्ट से पता लगाए जा सकते हैं? नहीं पता लगा सकते, लेकिन पता लगाने के लिए आपको बहुत ज्यादा नॉलेज होनी चाहिए ज्योतिष की। जैसे इस चार्ट के लिए सप्तमेश एक खराब ग्रह है। अब राकेश झुनझुनवाला के चार्ट में सप्तमेश सप्तम भाव में ही बैठे हैं, गुरु हैं, बकरी होके बैठे हैं, अपने ही भाव में बैठे हैं। लेकिन बिल गेट्स की हॉरोस्कोप में गुरु जो हैं वो तृतीय भाव में एक उपग्रह के साथ बैठे हैं। तो अगर कोई ज्योतिष जानता होगा, यह समझता होगा, तो उसे समझ में आ जाएगा कि यहाँ पर गुरु खराब हैं या सही है। तो ये चीज पता लगाना नामुमकिन है, मतलब किताबों से आप पता नहीं लगा पाएंगे। किताब से एक्चुअली ज्योतिष सीख ही नहीं सकते, ये तो बड़ी अजीब बात है। लोग कहते हैं हमने किताबों से सीख लिया, बट जब तक आपके पास कोई टीचर नहीं होगा आपको मीनिंग समझ में नहीं आएगा। देखिए व्रत जातकम जो है, जो वराहमिहिर की लिखी है जो ग्रंथ है, वो ज्योतिष का सर्वोपरि ग्रंथ है। लेकिन जब आप उसे पढ़ेंगे तो आपको लगेगा इसमें खास बात क्या है, दिस इज नॉट इम्पोर्टेंट इन इट। Until and unless you read the Tika of Dashadhyayi or you read some other grantha which explains Vraj Jatakam, there is nothing we will understand from the book. It's very basic, it's simple. तो वही प्रॉब्लम आ जाती है, जब तक टीचर नहीं होगा आपको समझ में नहीं आएगा कि आप क्या पढ़ रहे हैं। दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम, कोई बुक नहीं है।
थैंक यू फॉर द आंसर सर।
हाँ मानस जी बोलिए। मानस जी आप कुछ पूछ रहे थे, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है मुझे। अस्तोमा सदगमया।
हेलो,
हाँ मानस जी बोल रहे हैं, कौन बोल रहे हैं?
जी मानस जी मैं बोल रहा हूँ। नमस्ते गुरुजी, आपका मैंने लेख भी पढ़ा है, वो काफी इंस्पायरिंग है। मुझे ये जानना था कि ये जो जैसे हनुमान चालीसा है, क्या उसका पाठ करने से फायदा होगा? क्योंकि उसमें तो ऐसी कोई कीलक है भी नहीं, और वो
बिल्कुल सही।
तो क्या ये जी
हनुमान जी बहुत ऐसे देवता हैं जो कि मतलब जितनी प्योरिटी हो सकती है, जितने देवता मिलाकर प्योरिटी बनती है, वो एक अकेले हनुमान जी में इतनी शक्ति है। साधारण व्यक्ति, साधारण नहीं है, साधारण देवता नहीं है, अतुलित शक्ति है। मतलब उस शक्ति का सामना नहीं कर सकते आप, इतनी भयंकर शक्ति है। तो आप मुझे ये बताइए कि पहली बात तो ये है कि जब हम जो साधना करते हैं, जो उपासना करते हैं, वो या तो निष्काम होगी या सकाम होगी, और ज्यादातर वो सकाम ही होती है। निष्काम साधना नहीं होती है, क्योंकि निष्काम सिर्फ भक्ति होती है। आप समझ रहे हैं, साधना और भक्ति में फर्क होता है। साधना का मतलब ही है कि सकाम उपासना कर रहे हैं आप, और जब आप भक्ति करेंगे तो किसी चीज की जरूरत नहीं होगी। मैं राम 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 बोलूंगा ना, ये भक्ति है। मुझे कुछ नहीं चाहिए भगवान राम से, मुझे शांति चाहिए। जब मैं हनुमान चालीसा पढ़ रहा हूं तो इसका मतलब आप किसी चीज को पढ़ रहे हैं, तो आप किसी चीज के लिए उसे कर रहे हैं, तो बेहतर होगा कि आप उसे मंदिर में जाके पढ़ें। अगर आप किसी कार्यवश उसको कर रहे हैं तो पहले आप, ये जरूरी है कि आप संकल्प लें और फिर हनुमान चालीसा पढ़ें। शुद्धता और प्योरिटी मेंटेन करें। नियम हैं, कायदे हैं कि आप जमीन पर सोएं, आप एक समय खाना खाएं, ऐसे बहुत सारे नियम हैं। क्योंकि हनुमान जी ऐसे देवता हैं जो ये चाहते हैं। तो आप समझिए कि आप क्या कर रहे हैं। अगर आप हनुमान जी को केवल चाहते हैं, अगर आप निष्काम भक्ति कर रहे हैं, तो मुझे सिर्फ ये बता दीजिए कि इस किताब की जरूरत कहाँ है। क्या आप हनुमान जी का नाम लेकर ही भक्ति नहीं कर सकते? कर सकते हैं ना। अगर मैं राम जी का नाम लूंगा तो क्या भगवान हनुमान नहीं आएंगे? या सीता जी का नाम लूंगा तो भी हनुमान जी आएंगे कि नहीं आएंगे? बहुत सारे सवाल हैं। तो अपने आप से बैठकर ये सवाल पूछिएगा कि आप हनुमान चालीसा क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं। तो अगर आपको ये समझ में आ जाएगा तो ये भी समझ में आ जाएगा कि उसे पढ़ना कहाँ है। बहुत जरूरी है ना। हाँ नारायण जी बोलिए। नारायण जी आप कुछ पूछ रहे हैं?
Yes, namaste Alok ji.
नमस्ते
A
नारायण जी।
very simple question.
Yeah.
I know once you recommended that Pavamana Sukta can be recited,
Pavamana Sukta, yes.
recited in the house. Just like that, is there anything else that can be recited in the house without any side effects or
trouble?
Yes.
Basically, what I believe is that the test which I have done in my own life is that the Nama can only be, Nam doesn't require anything. When you're chanting the Namavali, you're basically taking the name of the God. So that doesn't require, when we say Vishnu Sahasra Namavali, Vishnu Sahasra Namavali can. Because we are not chanting it for a purpose. When you're not doing it with a purpose, you can say Ram, 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 Ram. It will show the impact. Or you say Om Namah Shivaya, it will show the impact. So these can be chanted. There's no issue. But when we say that there is a particular Vinayog, there is a Nyas, there is a Kilak, there is a Shadanyas which you need to follow, then you need to follow the procedure also. So that becomes troublesome.
Right. So, because the reason I'm also asking is, some people recommend, hey, you can chant Vishnu Sahasranam if you have troubles in your career or work.
Yes.
Which means then it becomes a sakam. It's no longer nishkam.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. Yes.
Okay. So the intention matters, right? Why
intention matters a lot. See, it's everything. Intention is everything. I believe that God is nothing. It's basically an intention which is creating that power. That is how it is going to manifest in your life. So when people tell you that, okay, you recite Vishnu Sahasranam and Sahasranamavali, they are two different things. People don't understand, but there is a difference between the two things. So when you are saying Namavali, it is going to take a lot. It's going to take a longer time. Okay, and it does not require the Vinayog and Nyas. But when we say Sahasranam, you have to take a sankalp, you have to do the Nyas, you have to do the process, and then you chant the Vishnu Sahasranam. Otherwise, it's going to bounce back.
Okay. Again, the same context, extending the question, is there any difference taking Om Sri Ganeshaya Namah or saying Gam, 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 which is the bija for Ganesh?
Yeah, bija of Ganesh. See, Ganesh ji is the only deity. In the ancient time, when you study the Sthapatya Grantha, you realize that there were only two deities who were worshipped in the house. One is Ganesh Bhagwan and the other is the Kuladevta. These two had their temples in the house. So when we say the modern process of building temples, we have modulated, we have modified that process. The actual process has been modified into multiple devtas into the temple. We are bringing them. But in the ancient times, it was these two deities which never show any bad effect because they are near to your family. They are family members. So you need to invoke Ganesha. You invoke it through anything. Even I say Om Gam Ganapataye Namah, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namah. You can say any name and he listens. This is the one deity which I've seen, he always listens to you. No matter whether all the deities can get angry with you, but this is the deity who never gets angry, who listens to you. Actually, that deities never get angry, but they might not listen. Sometimes what happens is, it happens many times. Suppose there is a person who's a bad person, okay? He's a wicked soul. I'm casting the prashna for that person. Now, this is a usual process. I have to move the kauris, I have to chant, announce the name of that person with the nakshatra, and then I invoke the gods one by one. So what happens is, suppose Devi is rushed with the person, she will not come. I will try my best, but she will not. I always know she has come to the place. She's answering my question. But sometimes they don't come. Only Ganesha is the deity who always comes, who always answers your problem. So I think it can be done.
Okay. And so, as you said, right now everybody tries to do everything at home. perhaps in the ancient days, everybody used to go to the temple
Temples.
and do their prayers.
Right.
It's only recently in Kali Yuga or Ghor Kali Yuga, whatever you may call it, that people want to do everything at home.
Ji.
Okay.
True.
Those are the questions I had. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's true. Ji. Okay. This is the last question I'm going to take. Astoma Sadagamaya. Do you want to ask something? Okay, nobody's going to ask. I'm going to end the space now. It is, I feel very good. आप लोग आए, आपने मेरी बात सुनी और बड़ी शांति से सुनी, उसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आप सबका। आप सबका दिन मंगलमय हो, आगे आने वाले दिन सब अच्छे जाएं आपके।